This is probably what we think is the last hemp house where we do this kind of sandbag system in the United States. My name is Jim Harp. I'm the artistic director of the Lyric Opera House. I'm delighted to welcome you to this miasma of ropes back here. The Lyric opened in 1894 and has been home to symphony, opera, ballet. You can look around there and see where some of the performers have left signatures here. There's Ethel Barrymore. There's The Sound of Music, Annie, Turandot, all the great opera singers have been here. It really is extraordinary to think that Enrico Caruso, the greatest singer who ever lived, sang right down there. And these walls here somewhat still resound with the sound of his voice. The rope was the 19th century means of bringing scenery up and down. You can see the way that it's suspended on these ropes. It has to manually be taken up and down. The scenery is up here, it's brought down and pulled up. And so that's how we dress the stage for our productions.
It's an art, it's a dying art. The flyman up there really has to know how to rig, what to rig. He's always challenged. There's always a challenge in the hemp house. The hemp house is just all rope. You know, everything's done manually, rope and winches. The weighting system is done by bags. We have 300-pound sandbags, we have 500-pound sandbags, 750-pound sandbags, and 1,000-pound sandbags. We have sandbags where me, you, and 3 people could stand in them. How we adjust the weight is we have buckets, funnels. We either add sand to the bag or take the sand out. You work efficient, you work hard, you work fast, but you have to be safe. And when a Lyric is renovated, that's what it's going to turn. It's going to be a safer environment for the workers, for the actors, for the actresses. Doing Broadway shows, travel the United States, they're used to going into counterweight houses, something that our renovation is going to provide us. We always have to spot lines, move lines on pipes. Where, you know, in a counterweight house, you don't have to do any of that. You know, you have 5 or 6 steel cable lines that hold up, you know, hold the pipe, you know, from end to end. Rigged to a counterweight system where, you know, you're using steel weights instead of sand. When it all comes down to it, it becomes easier and more efficient with a counterweight system. Anytime you do an opera, they're always looking for great widths and great heights. So our grid now, instead of being 60 feet, is going to be 80 feet. We are increasing the number of battens to use for the scenery of the show. We have 44 battens now. The number's close to 68 battens when we're renovated. They're actually building a crossover that's going to extend out over the sidewalk. So you walk upstage, they'll be upstage in the crossover, the actors, actresses, without being bothered by any scenery. Not only are we going to be able to provide the shows more places to hang their scenery, we're also going to give them depth. We're at about 32 feet. I think we're going to end up 36 feet to the back wall. Doesn't sound like a lot, but 4 feet is a lot to a show. The people that sit out in the audience, they don't realize what's backstage. You know, the hazards that we work with now to make a show work. Where this renovation is behind the scenes, and it needs to be done. It is being done, and I'm very ecstatic about it. Very, very happy that it's happening.
A plan was created in the mid-70s to modernize the entire facility, and that included construction of a lobby. Also, the seats were renovated. New seats were installed. Seats on the upper level were also expanded. So the Lyric has everything, but the one thing, the final phase of this renovation, the stage house, the expansion, the modernization, the renovation of it, has not been completed, and that is what is beginning to be constructed at this point. The stage house is antiquated. It's essentially the same thing, the same size, the same design as it was constructed in 1894. We also utilize a wooden grid instead of a steel grid, which is not as safe and doesn't give you the ability to hang as big pieces of scenery, and scenery hasn't gotten smaller. It's gotten bigger over the years, and that leads us to grand opera. When grand opera productions come to the Lyric in the past, we would have to take the actual scenery, the production, to a warehouse, and for a week we'd have to reduce the size of it to be able to bring it into the Lyric so it could fit on stage. And that process cost thousands of dollars. And with a counterweight system, with the additional stage space, we'll be able to bring scenery and utilize it without having to spend more money and more time that is not affordable these days for large-scale productions. The costs translate into hopefully reduced ticket prices for consumers. So we hope that happens, and also gives us more flexibility, and for some shows that may consider skipping Baltimore for whatever reason, it would put us in a position to be competitive for them as well. Our boards have been tremendously helpful, and we couldn't do it without them. We couldn't do it without our staff, and specifically our technical staff and our stagehands and our engineer. And you know, we've got a great small staff, and when they work together, it's just wonderful to be able to make this thing happen.
Every community needs a collection of different things, education, medical things, even sports, and they need cultural activities as well. And Dr. Turner and the people that he was involved with way back knew that. And that's what helps make a community. And that's why we're so happy to have this 117-year-old theater be a part of the community. Performers want to perform here. I know opera singers like to perform here. I know symphonies like to, orchestras like to perform here. And I know other types of performers like to perform here because it just lends itself to giving a better presentation for themselves. And we've always had the concept, Dr. Turner and I, of relationships with other cultural entities. And for instance, at the first two operas, Baltimore Symphony Orchestra will be performing in the pit. And Faust, Ed Apollochek and his group will be performing. In addition, we now have Peabody students performing Rake's Progress here, and that hasn't been done before, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do that, one of those per year. So we're reaching out to all these different entities. I mean, there's 4 groups right there that are involved. And we also have Micah displaying some of the students' artwork in our lobbies. So we're trying to, a community is made up of all the entities that are in it. And here we feel we've been very successful in getting a lot of different institutions to work together in one location. It's true that the patrons might not see all that we have done, but we're being allowed now to give better productions in a safer, more economical fashion, which does make it better for the patrons that come into the audience.
Behind us is a set of La Traviata, which is from the Chicago Lyric Opera House, one of the major opera companies in North America. And that set was brought directly, it was a 4-truck set, 4 large tractor trailers brought the set in. It was set up yesterday. It was set up in essentially one day, and by use of a counterweight system, it could be hung in one day, reducing, number one, the time that it would take to take it to a warehouse, and then secondly, it reduces the time in the facility by either a day or 2 days to actually set it up. And by reducing time, it reduces cost. And when we reduce costs, it gives us the ability to bring in productions that ordinarily would have even been very difficult to bring into the facility from a financial perspective and also from a timing perspective. It does give us the opportunity and flexibility where, yes, we could do multiple productions simultaneously. And to give you an example, during this production of Traviata, we have performances on a Friday evening and on a Sunday afternoon. On that Saturday in between, we will have a musical comedy show where we will lift parts of the set into the air, hiding it from the audience and giving us enough stage space to have a band and to have the comedian. Well, during the renovation, we did stay open. We were able to put a wall that was constructed within the proscenium, within that half-circular area in the front of the stage. It gave us, had about a 12-foot, 14-foot stage. We had several comedians perform, graduations, and we had 2 opera performances during that time. We host, from my perspective, and present the most diverse schedule of any other facility in the region. One night you can come and see a performance of something like Traviata. 2 nights later, you could see a gospel play. 3 days after that, there could be a band here, such as String Cheese Incident or Lettucey or Jackson Brand. A week later, could be a comedian like Lewis Black or Ricky Smiley. Country music plays here, Amy Grant, Vince Gill, ballet and dance. We practically have our own dance season, starting with the Nutcracker, then River Dance, and in May we also have Alvin Ailey.
If the lyric did not have the wonderful acoustics that it does, it's quite likely this would not have gotten done. But this has been compared to the great halls in the country in terms of its acoustics. And that's a very precious thing in this business of putting on wonderful shows and operas and other things. There's been a host of people that have made what we now are enjoying and are going to enjoy even more, have made that possible. And if you look at the signs that are throughout the building, you'll see that a great number of the foundations and corporations and individuals in the city have at one time or another contributed to the construction of this. We now have a chairman of the board who is very energetic and been very successful and helping get a major grant from the Modells, which has made possible this last phase. And I think I was joking for a while that I hope to see this get done by the time I was 80, and it looks like it's going to get done while I'm 80, and that's not so bad.